5 wins in a row, 5 pole positions in a row, the most dominant start to a Formula One season anyone had seen in years. And then Monaco qualifying happened. In one single hour on Saturday afternoon, the entire narrative of the 2026 Formula One season changed. The team that had been winning races in their sleep did not just lose pole position, they did not make the top 10. Either of them. Kimi Antonelli, 4 consecutive race wins, youngest championship leader in history, is starting Sunday's Monaco Grand Prix from 15th place. His teammate George Russell is 14th. And Toto Wolff stood in front of cameras and said one word to describe what just happened to his team: abysmal. In this video, I am going to walk you through exactly what happened in Monaco qualifying, what went wrong for Mercedes, what went right for everyone else, and what Sunday's race means for the 2026 Formula One Championship now that everything has completely changed. Because it has. In 1 hour, on Saturday afternoon, everything changed. This did not come from nowhere. The warning signs were there all weekend. On Friday, Mercedes had their slowest practice day of the entire season. Both cars were struggling to make the top 10 in either session. Russell called it the team's slowest Friday of the year. The circuit's slow corners were exposing exactly the weakness that Mercedes had been hiding with their engine advantage all season long. Mercedes' dominance in 2026 is built on one foundation: the best power unit on the grid. Take away the power unit advantage, remove the long straights, remove the DRS zones, reduce the maximum speed from 340 kilometers per hour down to 280, and you are left with a chassis that has been quietly underperforming all season in slow corners. Monaco is 3.3 kilometers of slow corners. The data through practice was damning. In the slow and medium-speed sectors that make up nearly the entire Monaco lap, Mercedes were consistently 5th or 6th fastest, not a gap you can easily recover. The kind of gap that tells you the fundamental balance of the car does not suit this circuit. Russell said on Saturday morning before qualifying that he felt back in the game in Q1, that he felt strong, that he had no doubt they could fight for a top position. He was right about one thing: he did feel strong in Q1. And then, his car stopped working. 16 minutes of qualifying, Antonelli was actually improving. Lap after lap, he was finding time. He told reporters afterward that he had struggled the entire weekend, but kept improving. He knew the pace was there, he was coming into the session, everything was building toward a proper lap. And then at turn 10, the Nouvelle Chicane, the harborside section, Antonelli turned in slightly earlier than usual. He clipped the inside barrier, the front left suspension took the impact, the car went straight on into the barrier between the track and the harbor. Red flag. Antonelli was completely unharmed. He climbed out, and crucially, he had already set a time in Q1 that was just fast enough to advance to Q2 by 15 thousandths of a second over the Sauer. 15 thousandths, less than the blink of an eye. If he had been 1 car length slower on his previous lap, his qualifying would have been over right there. So Antonelli advances to Q2 with a repaired car, and now Russell picks up the baton. He is in Q2. He says he feels strong. He goes through Stay Devote, the fast first corner, and rides over a bump on the exit. The same bump that had been there all weekend. And this time, the Mercedes just stops. The power cuts out, the electrical system shuts down. George Russell's Mercedes comes to rest inside the Monaco tunnel, in the dark. He tried every switch, the team ran through every restart procedure, nothing. He gets out, he helps the marshals push the car to safety, and he stands there in the tunnel with the look of a man whose qualifying has been ended by a bump that had been sitting there, entirely visible, for 3 days. Russell told Sky Sports, 2 races, 2 problems. It is obviously not good. He said it feels like the gods do not want him to be in this fight. When he looked back at the safety car timing in Japan, breaking down in China qualifying while fighting for pole, breaking down from the lead in Canada, and now this. And Wolff told Sky Sports one word: abysmal. Then added, "We just started to have a car that went and these mistakes happen." On Russell's retirement, he said simply, "We need to find out what happened on the engine." Mercedes, who had won 5 consecutive races and qualified 1-2 at every single Grand Prix this season, are starting Monaco from 14th and 15th. While Mercedes were falling apart, the rest of the grid produced one of the best Monaco qualifying sessions in years. Lando Norris, pole position, 1 minute 9.954, a new lap record at the Circuit de Monaco, the fastest qualifying lap this circuit has ever seen in the modern Formula One era. Norris delivered the lap of his season when it mattered most. And he needed every thousandth of it because Charles Leclerc was right there, 0.109 seconds behind. That is the margin between pole and second place at Monaco, the width of a tire. Leclerc starts second at his home circuit in the Ferrari that every analyst agrees suits Monaco better than any other car this weekend. He knows every centimeter of these barriers. He knows exactly what he needs to do to win. And in third, Oscar Piastri, McLaren completing a shock front three lockout for the non-Mercedes cars. Ferrari and McLaren occupying the first 3 grid positions, Mercedes 14 rows further back. Hamilton added one more dramatic chapter. He crashed out of final practice on Saturday morning, recovered to set the 4th fastest time in Q3, and then received a 3-place grid penalty for impeding Verstappen during qualifying. He starts 7th. So the Monaco Grand Prix grid, Norris from pole, Leclerc 2nd, Piastri 3rd, Verstappen 4th, and the championship leader Antonelli starting from 15th, from where he has never started a Formula One race in his life. Here is the championship mathematics. Antonelli leads by 43 points. At Monaco, where overtaking is nearly impossible, starting 15th is potentially a day where he scores 0 points, while everyone ahead scores heavily. A worst-case scenario could see his lead cut by 25 points in a single afternoon. That is the difference between a comfortable championship lead and a genuinely open title fight. But here's the nuance. Antonelli said before qualifying that he believed the smaller 2026 cars might actually allow some overtaking at Monaco. If he is right and there are genuine overtaking opportunities, starting 15th in a car with the best engine on the grid is not necessarily fatal. Watch his position at lap 10, 20, and 30. That data tells you everything about whether the 2026 cars have changed Monaco or whether Monaco has changed nothing. For Norris, this is one of the biggest opportunities of his 2026 season, pole position at Monaco. He won here in 2025 from pole. He knows how to do this. The question is whether Leclerc in second, hungry for his 2nd consecutive Monaco win, lets him breathe for 78 laps. That is the real Monaco Grand Prix 2026. Norris versus Leclerc, McLaren versus Ferrari, on the streets of Monte Carlo, with the championship leader quietly trying to find overtaking opportunities from the back of the grid. 3 things to watch on Sunday that tell you everything. First, the start at Saint-Devote. Leclerc has the best launch performance on the grid. He starts second, 1 position behind Norris. If Leclerc gets a better launch and takes the lead into turn 1, this race is probably Ferrari's. If Norris converts pole to the lead cleanly, this race is probably McLaren's. Second, Antonelli's progress through the field. Watch his position at lap 10, 20, and 30. If the smaller 2026 cars are genuinely allowing overtaking and he can reach the top 10 by mid-race, Mercedes will salvage a decent points haul. If he is still 13th after 20 laps, Monaco has broken his streak in the most painful way possible. Third, Russell. Starting 14th with 2 consecutive retirements already this season, he needs a clean race more than anything else. After Canada's battery failure and Saturday's tunnel shutdown, reliability is the story of Russell's season as much as pace. The 2026 Formula One season has had one story all year: Mercedes' dominance. Antonelli winning everything, a team and a driver that looked impossible to stop. Monaco qualifying told a different story. 1 hour, 1 crash, 1 car dead in a tunnel. And suddenly, the team that won 5 races in a row is starting from the back of the grid on the circuit where starting position matters more than anywhere else. Wolff called it abysmal. He was right. But here is what I know about Antonelli. He does not panic. He has been in bad positions before. He has 4 consecutive victories. He is 19 years old and has already proved that records and circuit characteristics do not scare him. Sunday finds out whether that's enough. Subscribe for the full race breakdown the moment Monaco is over. Drop a comment below. Does Antonelli's winning streak survive starting 15th? Or does Norris or Leclerc change the championship picture entirely? I'll see you on the other side of Sunday.